Hello YouTube, welcome back to Lamine's Legacy episode number 14. The video today is just surrounding unlocking the Benzema card from the third Gauntlet. I have the packs for it at the end as well. So that's what we're doing in today's video. This Benzema card is a great card. I haven't really used him too much in-game, but he has all the right things that you need in this game. The low driven plus, he has incisive silver. It's a great card, definitely worth unlocking, even if he doesn't fit your main team. And in today's video, we just have some highlights of unlocking the card and the packs to go with it. I think it's around a 20-minute video. I have around 20 minutes of footage. And there's not too much to talk about in today's video. We uploaded one, I think, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. And this second video of the week doesn't really have anything new to cover. You know, it's a bit difficult being a small channel and not having sort of subscribers and sort of watchers of the video engage in discussion. So you're kind of relying on the game to, entertain you and come up with talking points. I don't think there's too many compared to just a few days ago. I mean, the biggest one and the most obvious one is the revert to the dribbling. So for those that have been playing the series regularly, you'll know that the R1 dribbling and just the left stick in general was incredibly powerful at the start of the game. You know, it led to cards like Yamal, which obviously the series is around, and any others with technical plus being really, really OP. Musiala being one, for example. Even just like Messi's R1 dribbling, as he has it in silver. Like, those cards have been exceptional. And then we had a patch, obviously, that changed that, and you could really tell not just the R1 dribbling, but the left stick was a bit stiffer. The biggest change was obviously to the R1, but it seemed like the left stick was also a lot more stiff. And they've gone back and reverted that. I managed to play since that change last night, on Thursday night. I played some co-op with a friend. He finished last season in Elite. I finished last season in Div 1. So we're playing Div 3/2. I think we play Div 2 matchmaking because it goes on the highest when you're playing co-op. It wasn't a terribly fun experience, but, you're playing top tier players on the first day of the season. It is what it is. It's not a problem. I'm personally a fan of the change. I like that we went backwards. I think it was needed. I think it was good for the game long term. You can tell, at least in the gameplay yesterday, that the pace on the game and the speed it was played at was, much, much faster than what we were with, I guess, post-patch, but also pre-repatch, if that makes sense. I know it sounds a bit silly. But, I think going forward, I hope that the dribbling doesn't really get touched. I think it's in a good place, and I think there's bigger elements of the game that need adjusting and changing, especially when you look at the, I guess, AI defensively, which I know may sound like weird, given that it's probably the year where attacking is most effective, but there's still the CDM meta, so to speak. Like, if you just hold your centre mids, I just find that you are playing an entirely different game at a high level. I say high level, a high non-competitive level. You do just really experience CDM holding, winger holding. I said it in an early video of mine. I'm going to double down on it. 4-4-2 is like the biggest noob formation in the game. I don't care if that offends anyone. If you play a 4-4-2, I know full well all you want to do is defend with your wingers and essentially absolutely twat it up to your strikers. All you want to do is make one pass from centre back to striker, and then you want to attempt to play 1-2s and create the angles that way between your two strikers. 4-4-2 for me is the biggest noob formation in the game. Don't get me wrong, it is still something that people will struggle to learn and play, but once you really just take the approach of, I defend with my wingers, I absolutely do not touch the defender whatsoever, it's like easy mode to defend. And eventually you will bore people and you will wear them down, and gaps will open up, because two strikers are incredibly effective in this game. If you play any, whether it's a narrow or the 4-4-2 itself, having two strikers in this game allows you to really play off of it, and it is great for attacking. But yeah, I really don't like playing against a 4-4-2. Really just find it's noob friendly. I think that's really all it is to say about that revert. I don't think there's too much to discuss, because we have seen what the dribbling was like before it ever got patched in the first place. I would say it's around 80%. maybe 90% of what it was. I don't think it's 100%, but it's damn well close. It's certainly close, which is great for this series because using your Mal with a Tech Plus is obviously great. He does feel better on the ball now than he did just a handful of days ago. But that's all for that patch. No additional news on the goalkeeping movement sort of patch. I'm assuming that will come. I don't think it'll take too long for them to integrate that. What change they make, I'm not entirely sure, but it looks like keeper movement is going some way. And yeah, I would imagine it's going to be a tune-in as opposed to a removal. So I'm assuming they'll maybe make them stiffer. Maybe it will take more of an input to move them, but I don't expect it to be a complete removal. But shifting focus to the screen for just a second, you can see us completing the Camavinga Evo. What a card. Honestly, I think Camavinga might be like 9k on the market. It's not going to cost you a ton. He is genuinely an exceptional card in the current state of the meta. He's quick enough to cover ground, whether you're going forward or backwards. He's quick enough to take space when you're attacking. He's quick enough to cover ground when you're defending. He has only Tiki Taka Plus, which I put on the standard card. And that's why this version of the card also has it. But with Tiki Taka Plus, his passing is exceptional. He doesn't have silver in any of the other passing playstyles, but he still makes good passes. He can still make really, really exceptional passes. With this specific Scream Evo, he gets the additional physicality, additional defending, and it just makes him just a really top tier card for centre mid. Like, is he as good as De Jong? Probably not. Is he as good as Rangers? Probably not. Is he as good as Pogba? He's 10 times better than Pogba. I don't know how he fares up against someone like a Busquets. I could see either or being better, potentially. But yeah, really good card. If you have some sort of team that allows either the French or the La Liga links, then I don't think you can go wrong with picking Camavinga up and using the Evo on him. I've really enjoyed using him. Used him in Gauntlet, used him in Rivals, used him in Champs as well last weekend as I was Evoing him. So not his complete version, but certainly the base card essentially was the Evo was started. And yeah, it was. I'm really happy with my choice there. I think it was a very good choice for the account. Also, what you're seeing on screen right now is me attempting to build the Gauntlet teams. So I would say I have a pretty good club. I wouldn't consider it to be stacked, but I certainly don't think it's a poor club. We have options in all the positions. We don't have tons of them, but we have a fair amount of them. As I typically play a narrow formation, as you can see, 4-5-1. When I say narrow, I just mean I block out the midfield. Play 3 centre mids. That does mean that squad building is tougher in a mode like Gauntlet, because you do need obviously a variety of centre mids. Technically, I need 9, right, for a 3-run Gauntlet. I don't think I have 9 high tier centre mids. I don't even know if there's 9 in the game. But other than that, we're pretty good. Our centre backs I think are pretty good. Full backs pretty good. Or specifically left back pretty good. Right back, kind of, it's okay. Keepers are fine. I think wide midfielders kind of okay. And strikers, I think, because we only use 1, we only really need 3 good strikers, and we have that, so that's no problem. If you are watching it this far and you are maybe struggling in the gauntlets, whether you're struggling to get the results or you may be struggling to build teams, feel free to pop a comment down below of your teams, or head over to Twitter or TikTok and just send me your teams and your club, and I can essentially help you build a more meta team. I find building meta teams quite easy. I can give you tactics for different formations. You don't have to play 4-5-1 like I am. You can use a bunch of different formations. But yeah, if you need help squad building, I can certainly do that. It'd be good to try and build some community interaction there. And yeah, now I'm sort of watching the footage back as I record. I probably wasted too much time with B-roll footage, so to speak. I don't think you really need to see me in real time making all these decisions about the squad building. I probably could have cut it a bit more. I think we're only halfway through the video, so I'll have to essentially yap a bit longer. But a bit of an update on the state of the account, where we're at. We're at the moment, we are essentially realizing that this year being okay, we're not free to play. I have to make that clear. The remainder of the account is free to play. So let me clarify this to be very specific. The whole intention this year was to start the Yamal series, the Yamal RTG, right? Lamine's Legacy. Now I anticipated a very expensive card, and so for the first time in years, I put FIFA points on. Essentially, logistically, it was to afford Yamal, and then from that point on, the account would just not use any FIFA points that was bought, but would use FIFA points that were given through the pre-order. Now my logic was the season passes are going to be 1,000 a time. We get 6,000 points. Let's just essentially buy half a year's worth of season passes, right? That would have been what I would have done with the FIFA points. However, I believe I accidentally spent 2,000 of them, and so I'll only have 4,000, which I think should come in maybe in like the next week, maybe in the next 24 hours. Depends on when they release the second batch of 2,000, or the third batch of 2,000, I should say. But yeah, the logic of the account is get Yamal and play free to play after that. So we obviously picked up Yamal. We paid 393,000 coins on day one. Well, when I say day one, I mean early access on the Thursday. Is still the version that we have in the club right now. Since packing Yamal, or not packing him, sorry, since buying Yamal, we haven't really spent any of the other points, right? We did accidentally spend 2,000 because I didn't track properly, but you would see on some screens we're sitting on 2k points with another 2k to come from the pre-order. What I'm planning on doing is taking the account in a slightly different direction. So to me, RTGs are outdated in the sense of everyone knows and have seen through, content creators like Nepenfez, Fuji, AA9, loads of creators have done Road to Glories over the years. It's not difficult to be free to play and run an account all year, right? It's something I do every year, apart from this year. You essentially get to, keep in line with the power curve as long as you are playing your modes each week. The rivals and champs. I know content creators like Nepenfez do this full time. He'll probably be playing squad battles as well. I don't have the time for that as a amateur creator, so to speak. But yeah, it's the point of, oh my god, what can a free player achieve, is being done and proved by creators like Nepenfez years and years ago, and for years and years on the bounce. I can't provide any value in that space. There's nothing I can do as a creator, as a player of FC, as a person to showcase and display additional value that hasn't already been done. So that's never the point of the series. The point of the series, for me, was to try and break Ronaldo's goal record, essentially, and Messi's assist record. The Ronaldo goal record obviously being more impressive just because it's a lot more goals than it is assists. And by doing so, you would look to get a player towards 1,000 goals. Now, I'm not going to say I'm the first one to do it. I certainly am not. I think I saw someone in the last 2 to 3 years on Twitter have over 1,000 goals with a Mario Gomez card that was just a bog standard gold card. It was way before he had the Euro. And I don't even think Evos were in the game at that time, so maybe it's a bit longer than 3 years. But he just, that was cool, that was fun. It was to do something like that. What can we do with not just the gold Yamal, but with all Yamal variations that come out? And that's sort of, that's not changing. It's a Yamal RTG, that's not changing whatsoever. But the way that we sort of transition through the year, I think, needs to change, because right now, as someone who is still in the mindset of how they've been in every other year, which is, to be honest, I just play the meta. I just play the meta each week. Keep up with meta SBCs. I buy meta cards, and that's just sort of how my year runs. But I want to change that and try and do something that's different and more fun. Obviously, with content in mind. What value am I necessarily giving to the space by using the meta cards and trying to get the best results possible? I mean, there's already existing creators in which you'll prefer their personalities, they'll have better editing, they'll have better quality videos. So I can't really provide value like that as a new creator that isn't necessarily highly skilled in what you need to be to create high quality videos. So the personality, I'm not really going to provide a value in that aspect yet. video quality, not in that aspect yet. So there's nothing there. Then when it comes to sort of like player reviews or using, high tier cards, I can't do a Bateson, right, and just have 50 million coins on your account. I can't do a Danny Aaron's and just use every card in the game, because you can't do that without a serious spend, which I certainly can't afford to do with, again, being an amateur creator. So there's no value to add in that regard. Then you have sort of high tier gameplay, high skilled gameplay. What am I going to provide that Stokes can't, or that any of the hashtag house can't? I know they make really entertaining videos, but thinking about it more from just a competitive level, I'm not going to say millions, right? That's probably an over exaggeration, but there's tens of thousands of players that are considerably better than I am, right? So where's the value coming from the necessarily the high tier gameplay stuff? There's not, right? The whole idea, if I wanted to have an attempt at success within this content creation, was bring a series to YouTube that was familiar but different, right? So an RTG style around a particular player isn't essentially super unique, but it is because, who else is doing a Yamal RTG? Maybe there is a creator, but I'm not aware of one. Nepenthes did an Arsenal style RTG last year. Maybe he's still doing it this year, right? It's like the sort of Evo only aspect, or one club only aspect, one player aspect is unique enough to where if 1,000 people did one and they were all on different players, different clubs, then there's still value in watching the content. It's still appealing to viewers. So that's the logic. But if I'm just going to use De Jong, if I'm just going to use Rangers, which we ironically haven't used on this account other than a loan, if I'm just going to use Van Dijk, if I'm just going to use Marcus Llorente right back, for example, then really, where are people going to get fun from my content right now? They'd be better off watching someone else, and I wouldn't blame them. I can fully see that. That's really obvious to me. So the idea was, in order to create value, is offer this series built around a player that can still be semi-unique, as well as the audience builds, hopefully by enjoying the Yamal series and the Yamal content. I could essentially voice my opinions on the direction of the game, the state of the game, how I see the game, as that's where I feel like I have the most value to add as a creator, is in just discussing the game and looking at it from the perspective that I have from playing since, like, I was only born in '98, so it's not like I was playing FIFA '98 at the time, but I've played like everything from '98, even though it was a few years back. Again, I know that other creators have been around for longer, played the game for longer, or just as much, etc. But I think the way that I approach or see the game is something that is unique and can provide value in that context. So whilst we're essentially heading towards an audience where I can give those thoughts and opinions and I can discuss those things, within the game I want to ensure that we are doing something slightly different. And so I'm actually going to move towards recreating some of the more iconic Barcelona teams and recruiting their icons. So for me right now, I've just picked up Iniesta, and you'll see that footage soon enough. We want to pick up Xavi, and we want to complete Busquets and Alba. And we're going to just try and go in a direction that's a bit more nuanced and interesting. Right now, we've been kind of afraid to spend the coins. We've been slowly building them, testing out players and selling them pretty quickly after using them. We're going to go away from that, move away from that sort of aspect, and this sort of make a series that, even if we don't increase the viewers, even if it's not a series that generates much traction, for content to be looked back upon, or as people stumble across the account and think, oh, that's an interesting team, oh, that's an interesting play style, that's new, that's refreshing. Hopefully we can do that, because I think right now I've been too close to the meta without venturing off enough to provide value to viewers of the series. So be on the lookout for that. From a coin perspective, we can't currently do it. We can't pick up the team that we want. We're quite a bit off, but that obviously makes it fun. We're going to have to build our coin balance. We're going to have to keep on relying on some luck and eventually build a very nice, cool throwback team. But yeah, we started with picking up Iniesta. It leaves us quite poor, to be honest, by picking up Iniesta. But once we can get Alba and Busquets done, we can really start to build the coin balance up and really develop a team that I think is cool, interesting, and fun to record content around. The one thing I will say, when I did a little look at the club, we do not have nowhere near enough fodder for both those SBCs because we foolishly did Pogba, who's a useless waste of space as a card. But I think before they expire, we can get Jordi Alba done for free, and then we might have to spend 200k on Busquets, which 200k when you could pick up De Jong for 90, you could pick up Rangers for 40, Pedri for 40, is a bit daft. But again, if we're not gonna play the game in a fun and unique way, what's the point of what I've done this year? I could have just stayed free to play. I could have just attempted to grow just from, making videos. But with the approach and the strategy we're taking, I think it's important to not worry about the efficiency or the effectivity of our coins and our decisions, and just really make them from a sort of content perspective as opposed to running an account perspective. As you can see over the last couple of minutes, we've been opening up our Gauntlet rewards for Benzema. I want to give I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually do want to give a shout out to EA for the rewards. I think they did exceptional with the Gauntlet rewards, and I hope they keep it up in the future. I think they're so far clear of rivals, and not clear of Champs rewards, but the effort you put into Gauntlet versus the effort you have to put into Champs is night and day difference. For negligible difference in rewards, I'm a big Gauntlet fan. For me, it's the best thing they've done this year. Very, very, very happy with it. Hope to see it continue all year round. Hope to see that the rewards stay as good as they are or even improve. Really like that they've made those small adjustments to ensure that you can just play, or you have the option. If you're a good player, you can get it done quickly. If you're a bad player, you can just get it done by continuing to play. Big fan of that, to be honest. Definitely have to credit them there. As you can see, we didn't have a ton of luck. Nothing too crazy. Although I think in this pack actually is our best pull. Yeah, there it is. Scream Hero. We won't spoil who it is. We'll let it naturally play out. And yeah, it was okay rewards. Definitely could have been better. Definitely could have been worse. Happy with it. Thanks for watching. Leave comments down below. Let's have a discussion on anything. Absolutely anything. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want to watch the next episode on the channel. And we'll probably have a video up early next week of Champs Rewards and Champs Highlights. Like I said, really appreciate you watching the video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.